Welcome to Shape of the City. I'm Jessie Coffey, your host. The weather is warming up and the swimming season is just around the corner. Whether swimming happens at home or at public pools, one message always rings true: safety first, especially for young children. To help us have fun and be safe with swimming, I'll visit with Karl Dietrich from the Lincoln-Lancaster County Health Department and Melissa Kinzie from the Lincoln YMCA. Both are partners with Safe Kids Lincoln-Lancaster County. Let's start with Melissa.
Yeah.
What are the statistics for drowning as it relates to children?
Drowning is the leading cause of death for children ages 1 through 4. Death and drownings can happen in swimming pools, bathtubs, lakes, and even rivers. And so we want to make sure that we're here to make sure that kids are safe around water.
So when it comes to kids and being safe around water, we know that it just takes a very little bit of water and a very little bit of time that a child could drown. So kind of explain maybe some situations or how we can be more cognizant of that tiny time window and the amount of water that really can cause a drowning.
Certainly. They say 18 inches would cause a drowning, but honestly it takes just a little bit of water. It really depends on the age of the kid, but it doesn't take much. Someone who maybe is a child who can't stand up, a child who falls over, and it just takes that little bit. So as caregivers, we really need to supervise. And I could speak on behalf of being a mom. We were at a wedding this last fall, and he took off out of the wedding area, and there was a swimming pool at the hotel where the wedding was at. And he took off towards the swimming pool, and he was gone for literally seconds. And we got to him right before that he got to the swimming pool, but he was at the pool edge. And yes, he's in swimming lessons, and yes, that's my job. And I can tell you that it can happen to anyone, and don't think it won't happen to you. So as caregivers, as parents, as grandparents, supervise, be aware of the surroundings, and be aware that kids are very, very curious, and they just want to know, and they don't realize that it's not safe.
So talking with your child, as soon as they're able to understand, is probably key as well, really explaining that pools are not safe if mom and dad or grandma aren't around, and really impressing upon the child that there needs to be adult supervision as well. What additional advice might you have for parents when it comes to navigating public or non-public residential pools with their children?
Great question. Supervision, supervision, supervision. I cannot stress that enough. We really need to make sure we put down those distractions, put down the phone, put down the book, and really watch our kids. And even better, play with them. If you would just get your swimming suit on. No one cares what you look like in a swimming suit. Put your swimming suit on and have fun with your kids. They want that just as much as you need to be watching them. And then making sure that you learn CPR. It's very important if something does happen that you know how to handle yourself. And then putting your kids in swimming lessons. And swimming lessons are for kids, but they're also for adults. So if you as an adult aren't comfortable in the water, making sure that you know how to swim, or at least be safe and know the warning signs.
Definitely. Being able to swim is a life-saving skill.
It is, yes.
What else can parents or caregivers do to keep kids safe around water? So like you mentioned, lakes or koi ponds, any other like safety kind of measures that parents can take to keep children safe?
Great question. The other thing that they can do is if they are around water and they know they're going to, is use Coast Guard approved life jackets. Coast Guard approved life jackets are ones that have a label inside of them that say Coast Guard approved. It should not say swimming aid. A swimming aid tips the kids so that they put their face in the water, and a non-swimmer, that's not safe. The other things that aren't safe are things that blow up like a balloon. So any of those water wings that are super cheap and this time of year in stores, and those rafts, while they're fun to play on, are certainly not safe for kids that are not good swimmers.
Great. Those are some great tips. Karl, when it comes to residential pools, what do parents or other pool owners need to know to keep their children safe?
What parents in Lincoln, pool owners, and especially need to know is that we do have a residential fencing code for residential pools. What it says is that any pool capable of holding more than 18 inches of water has to have at least a 4-foot fence around it. However, if you have an above ground swimming pool with rigid walls that are at least 4 feet in height, those are actually acting as that fence, and so you don't need a fence around it.
Okay.
And then any gates, doors, or any really access points to that swimming pool should always be self-closing and self-latching as well, so that when you open that door, it closes and locks right behind you. And then any sort of access ladders to those pools as well should either be made inaccessible or taken out when they're not in use.
Yeah, the ladders, I'm sure, are the big key there to
Yeah,
eliminating use for small children.
Yeah, we see a lot of pools, backyard pools, that have those 4-foot high walls, but the ladders are always kept in place, and that's just easy access points.
So, in regard to this code, I mean, what types of pools does it pertain to? I know a lot of people buy those really little kiddie pools, and they just put them in the front yard or in their side yard. You know, it's just very accessible to anyone in the neighborhood. So, what does this extend to?
Well, the fencing code extends to pools holding greater than 18 inches. However, a lot of those kiddie pools that you mentioned are only about 1 foot deep, but they can still be a potential drowning hazard and kind of a hazard to all the kids in the neighborhood. So with those ones, what we tell people to do is, when they're not in use, when you're done using them, dump them out, flip them over, put them in your garage, put them back somewhere where they're safe, where kids won't use them, flip them upside down, do whatever you can do so that they're basically not holding any more water there. And then if you have those kind of maybe a 2-foot inflatable pool, things like that, those are the kinds that are definitely going to need those fences around them.
Now, are families able to purchase some sort of covers to keep children out of those above ground pools?
There are covers that you can put on swimming pools. However, a cover isn't enough. That alone, we get a lot of people that say our cover is just enough, and they're not. Kids can break through those covers, so we still want those fences around the swimming pools as well.
Yes, extra safety, definitely. Yep. Why is an ordinance like the fencing so important for pool owners, as well as the neighbors and family members that might be utilizing the pools?
It's so important for pool owners and the neighborhood in general, because it's keeping children safe. Not only their own kids, but also the children in the neighborhood safe. Like I mentioned, those fences are there to act as a barrier. Kids don't always know not to go in somebody else's yard. They see a swimming pool, they know those are fun, let's go run in there, jump in there, something might happen. So those fences are there to create a barrier, to make it harder for those little kids to get in there.
And one of the lines that we use at the Y is that the world is 70% water, but kids are 100% curious. And so just because it maybe is a pool and they taught their own kids safety around their home pool, kids around the neighborhood, they're curious and they want to see that. So making sure that they have those fences and those safety precautions around.
Definitely. What has been the biggest challenge to enforcing some of those neighborhood safety elements?
I would say one of the biggest challenges that we face is actually getting pool owners to know the regulation that we have in place. It's not something that a lot of people even know about when they purchase their at-home swimming pools. And so what we do with Safe Kids Lincoln-Lancaster County is we actually send out packets in the spring for pool companies, any sort of store that sells pools that you can buy off the shelf, and we send them those packets, and they have the ordinance on them. They have stickers that they can actually put on there so that homeowners, when they're purchasing those pools, that they have that in place. The difficulty is actually we can't require those pool companies to put those stickers on there, so a lot of times people can buy those pools and not even know the regulations. The other kind of difficulty that we have with enforcing this code is when it comes to actually finding out about these pools. We're not going and inspecting these pools when they initially get put up. The only way we find out about them at the Lincoln Health Department is through people calling us and letting us know, or if we happen to be driving around and we see one out in the neighborhoods. And so we need people to call us and let us know, because every summer there's pools that are up the entire summer in maybe somebody's backyard, and they're not compliant, but we never hear about them.
So if a neighbor has some concerns about maybe the safety of their next door neighbor, what department at the health department should they contact to kind of give them a heads up so maybe they can be informed of the code?
They'll want to contact the environmental public health division of the health department. The number there is 402-441-8002, and then that will actually get them. They can ask me specific questions as well as just let me know. Everything's kept confidential, so we're not going to tell your neighbors on you of who called or anything like that. As well as they can also visit our health or our website. And on our website, it has the code on there, as well as a public service announcement that we created and put on YouTube last year.
Great. Thank you for coming to the show and for the work that you're doing, the very important work you're doing to keep the community and the children in our community safe. When we return, we'll learn more about a foundation doing their part to make water safer for our youngest swimmers.
Hi, my name is Karl Dietrich, and I'm an environmental health specialist with the Lincoln-Lancaster County Health Department. Having an above-ground swimming pool is a great way to beat the summer heat. However, there are some important things to remember prior to purchasing one. Here in Lincoln, we have a city code that says any pool capable of holding more than 18 inches of water must have at least a 4-foot fence around it. However, if you have an above-ground swimming pool with walls 4 feet or higher, then no fence is needed. This is because the 4-foot walls act as a barrier preventing any young children from entering the pool. For example, this pool would need a fence around it, while this pool would not need a fence around it. If a fence is needed, all gates and doors must be equipped with a self-closing and self-latching device. Finally, no matter what size above-ground swimming pool you have, you must take out and store any access ladders when not in use. If you have any questions regarding residential pool fencing, please contact the Lincoln-Lancaster County Health Department at 402-441-8002. Help keep the kids in your neighborhood safe. Fence it. It's the law.
Welcome back to Shape of the City. As was mentioned in the last segment, drowning is a leading cause of unintentional death for children ages 1 to 4. Of those, nearly half occur in a residential setting. It seems unimaginable until it happens with your family. One family is not only sharing their tragic story, but has also dedicated themselves to making a difference in the lives of others around the world. Blake Collingsworth is here to tell us more about the mission of the Josh Collingsworth Foundation. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Great. If you don't mind, Blake, let's start by hearing a little bit about your story and how it has served to motivate the foundation.
In a really nice spring day, June 1st of 2008, we had a large family gathering. We'd only had the pool for a couple of years, and when you have a pool, a lot of friends and family want to come over and enjoy it. And there was a transition going on between people getting in the pool and getting out of the pool and getting food ready to do barbecue. And Joshua was left by himself in the basement, and he, I think, took it upon himself to go out there and try to fill his older brother's water gun, because when his older brother was around, he never got to use it. So in those few minutes that we lost track of him, basically the first place you want to go is look in the water, and we did, and he was in the water, unresponsive. We pulled him out and started CPR. The paramedics did get his heart beating again, and he was at Lincoln General, but then life flighted to Omaha. And where through lots of extensive studies, they realized his brain function had had too much damage because of loss of oxygen. That only takes a few minutes for children. And after 3 days, we had to make the decision to take him off life support, and he only survived about 45 minutes after that. The brain just could not sustain the working of the vital organs. It was through that process, being in Nebraska, we just don't get the message as much as they do in Florida and Texas and some of these places. And I started doing research, and I just could not believe that we weren't spending more time talking to children about the importance of staying away from water unless you get mom and dad or grandma and grandpa. From the moment they can understand, we talk to them, don't touch the stove, it's hot, look both ways before you cross the street, stranger danger. We have all these litany of things that we talk to kids about, but we as adults are not spending enough time talking to kids about it. So it kind of struck me, well, we need to have something that can engage them. Mm-hmm. It's not going to do us any good sitting around a kitchen table and just saying, hey, don't go around water unless you get mom and dad. It's not going to resonate very well with them, especially when you're talking 3, 4, 5 years old. So just started kind of looking around thinking you got to have a character, and the purple dinosaur is already taken. And an animal made sense, and I saw otters floating on their back, holding hands, playing in the water, and kids laughing, and it just made perfect sense. So,
Tell us about how Josh the Otter promotes water safety then for individuals and communities.
we've been very fortunate to get a lot of different organizations and schools and civic groups, swim schools, to utilize Josh the Otter in their swimming lessons or in their communications with kids. We have a very large partnership with the Rotary International, and over the last few years we've worked with over 300 Rotary clubs around the United States, into Canada, Jamaica, and Australia. And what they do is they go to the school and they read the story to the kids, they talk about water safety, and then they give a book for the children to take home, just like they do with the Dictionary Project. The Rotarian that thought this up was a Rotarian that was a retired Rear Admiral, and he was the first one. He said, we're not getting enough kids to 3rd and 4th grade to give them a dictionary in Florida. We need to read them this message, so hopefully more will get our dictionaries. And that was his thought process. And it started with that one club of 16 Rotarians, and now over 30,000 books last year to kids were distributed all over the country through Rotary clubs. So we work with them, and also swim schools and parks and recs and YMCAs, a lot of different organizations. They use this kind of, before they get the kids into the water to swim, to talk about the importance of water safety.
So are schools in Lincoln participating in this program as well?
Yeah, every spring we send out a coloring book and a sticker for every child. We wish we could afford to send every child home with a book, but we haven't gotten to that point yet. But every spring there's a coloring book and a sticker, and then every kindergarten teacher has the book in their classroom. And LPS sends out the coloring books, and they send out a nice little letter saying, hey, before the kids go out for the summer, it's getting warm out, please read and talk about water safety. We also collaborate with the nursing department at Southeast Community College, and they'll take in Josh the Otter. We also have a large mascot and then the hand puppet, and they'll read to the kids. And they do that as part of their nursing program, so it's a neat little collaboration.
It's a great partnership, definitely. How has this program grown over the last several years?
Through the Rotary has been a major one that has done that, but we're also very active with the National Drowning Prevention Alliance, which is a national organization of groups. USA Swimming's a major factor in that. They train and work with Olympic athletes, so we have a strategic partnership with them. And it's growing just by the communication with some of those larger organizations, and they're saying, we like what you're doing, and we believe that educating children is something we haven't done. Most of the time we're talking to parents about being diligent, and that's so important. You know, touch supervision and staying off your phone. Don't text when you're with your children around the water, because it can happen in just a few moments. So all those things are very important. Keep pools, toys out of the pool. There's many different things. But if we can have that front line of those children understanding that they can't do that without mom and dad, that's the important part about it.
Great. Who are some of your partners that you're working with to spread the message across the country?
The USA Swimming is one of the major ones that we just mentioned, and then I did mention Rotary International. We have a strategic partnership with the United States Coast Guard, the Army Corps of Engineers. We've just got off the phone 2 weeks ago with the Michael Phelps Foundation.
Oh, wow.
Now that he's out of competitive swimming, he's concentrating more on his foundation work and swimming and promoting swimming. And they called us up and said, we don't really have a drowning prevention component to our message at the foundation, and we like what you do. And his mother, Debbie Phelps, she actually spoke at our benefit 3 years ago, so she's quite familiar with what we do. And they said, how can we maybe add this message to our right before our swimming lessons? So it's another really nice partnership that we're excited for the potential of.
And increase your visibility and just get that message out to more children and families. Are there any other personal stories you can tell us about an individual or group that your program has impacted?
There are so many little tiny stories that you hear that statistically we're not going to know what our impact is for quite a while. We're going to have to see those numbers drop, because you can't see a child that didn't drown because he got the message. But we hear many anecdotal stories. And my mother actually had a friend who was a grandmother, and she had her 2 grandchildren by the pool, and the 5-year-old said to the 3-year-old, "Hey, you're getting too close to the water, you have to back away, you're not an otter yet." So there are just dozens and dozens of those types of stories, and we hear from swim instructors that tell us that children are coming in, they're not as inhibited by this, they're not as afraid to getting their swim lessons because they're excited to become an otter.
Okay, great.
So, but they always get that message, this is not something you do by yourself. We want you to be excited and not scared of learning to swim, but we want you to learn all the messages. So we just believe we're developing a whole different thought process for kids and adults about water.
That's really exciting to hear a child, a young child got the message, and then it's, kind of advocating that message as well. What do you think is still the biggest obstacle to keeping our kids safe around the water?
It is creating a generational change so people automatically understand the problem and what they should do, how they should behave, the different steps they should take. We need to get this kind of like everybody is with their seatbelts now. I use that analogy a lot. It took me a long time before I started putting my seatbelt on. I had to get into that habit. I even bucked the system for for quite a few years, like a lot of people did. But children automatically do it because they've been strapped in their entire lives. So if we can kind of create that, and that's why we're starting as young as we can, but we need to get a full generational change that people, they'd see a pool, if they see a pool toy in it, or if they see a gate that's not quite latched, or some of those different aspects, and then just taking those moments, those educational moments while they're around the water to talk to their kids and keep reaffirming the message. And that's how we're going to have to do it. And we need to get lots of more people into swimming lessons. And we have some great facilities, the YMCAs and some of the different health clubs, and we have a lot of opportunities to get kids into swimming lessons, and we actively promote that. A child is 85% less likely to drown if they've had formal swimming lessons. So the more we can get in there, the less chances we have of losing children.
And definitely, swimming lessons are a life-saving skill, so it's definitely something you want your child to go through. What can our viewers do to make a difference?
Talk to their friends and family and their kids, especially about, water. It is important. We all want to have fun with it. We didn't tear out our pool. It wasn't going to bring Joshua back, but we also knew that we had to start creating a message for people and talking to them, and we need everybody in the community to talk to them. If they want to volunteer, if they want to help, there's lots of different ways that they can get involved in the community and help out through Rotary clubs, through Parks and Rec, through some of the other organizations. But the most important part, get your children in swimming lessons as soon as possible, and you can start them as early as 6 to 9 months through the Float for Life program, which is at the Y and a lot of other places. And if you have friends, tell them to get their kids into swimming lessons. The other thing is, don't rely on lifeguards when you're around the waters, when you're going to even the public pools or the lakes. Be a part of the community, keep your eyes open. If you see someone you think they're having trouble, alert a lifeguard. So it's a full effort that we all have to take in order to save lives and to get people to where they're water safe.
Definitely. Where can families or individuals go for more information about Josh the Otter?
Our main page is www.joshtheotter.org. If you just Google Josh the Otter, it pops up. So he's pretty popular. He's gotten very popular over the years. And that's our main website. And we also have a Facebook page with over 10,000 likes, so we have a lot of followers on our Facebook page. But you can reach out to us through the Josh the Otter website. We have a lot of information there we have resources, ways that you can reach out if you're looking for somebody that teaches different swimming classes. We try to have those resources available, and just the basic stories and information. We also have materials that you can pick up, and the books are in the public libraries, so you can get one there. We also have an app. We don't have it on Android yet, but we do have it on iOS format. So if you have an iPad or an iPhone, it's a free download, and you can read the book on your app, and it has a sing-along song, even has a little pledge that the children can say after they read it, and it is in 9 languages.
Wow.
So on the app, if you're so inclined, you can read it in Chinese or French or Italian or German. So those are some of the places that you can get more information.
So your website would probably be a good resource if you have a caregiver, maybe a grandparent or a babysitter that, as a parent and your child, you've kind of had this discussion, but if during the summer you're going to be leaving your child with a different caregiver, that would be a good resource for them to be able to access materials as well.
Yeah, and one of the things that's really important is if you don't have a pool or if you don't think you're around water a lot, but then you're going on vacation this summer, and then you're putting those children in that environment, before they get into that environment, talk to them about it, read the story to them, pull up the app. Hey, we're going to a place that does have a pool, we're going to the lake, or we're going somewhere. This is not your normal home environment. So there's different rules why we're here. Don't go around the water unless you get mom and dad. Wear your life jacket if you're in a boat or on the dock. So those are other things they need to, instead of worrying about all the stuff they've packed and other stuff, safety for the children needs to be the first and foremost.
Definitely. Thank you so much for sharing your story about Josh the Otter with so many children and families, not just in Nebraska, but across the country. I appreciate you coming.
Thank you very much.
Now that we've learned more about staying safe around the water this summer, Melissa Kinzie will take us out to the pool to learn how swimming can be a great activity at any age.
Drowning can happen in an instant, anywhere there's water. Put down your phone and supervise your child. It could save their life. Make sure that your kids are always in view and they will have a great summer. Hi, my name is Melissa Kinzie and I'm the Associate Executive Director at the Koppel Family YMCA. Today I'm here to talk to you about how fantastic swimming is for you and your family. Swimming is for everyone, for all ages, all abilities, whether you're a baby and you're just learning to have that water around you and feeling comfortable and floating, all the way up to 90s and above, and you're doing that for exercise and movement. It helps with your joints. And everybody in between. You can do it for fitness, you can do it for relaxation, you can do it for therapy. It's just a great thing to have in your life. It's never too late to learn how to swim, and many places have swimming lessons, including the YMCA. Swimming lessons for kids that, like I said, start at 6 months and all the way through adult. Those ones that are fearful of the water, there are plenty of things that you can do without getting your head wet. You can come in, for those non-swimmers who maybe need to get in and exercise or use the water to take some of that weight off of those joints, maybe for your hip or your knee. Coming in and doing those exercises, you can hold onto the side, you can be comfortable where you're at shoulder depth or below that, and find a place that has lifeguards. They're there to keep you safe and they're there to watch the pool. Swimming is amazing. It can bring exercise and wellness, and it can just bring peace. So jump in the water today.
Shape of the City is dedicated to helping Lincoln stay informed of health and wellness programs and events. Visit our calendar at lincoln.ne.gov. Keyword 10 Health. If you'd like to see your event covered, email us at 10healthlincoln@gmail.com. Thank you for watching. Until next time, get active, eat healthy, and stay informed.